to learn Enterobius vermicularis, aka pinworm or shredworm. First, we are going to appreciate the epidemiology and get to know the life cycle, and then to make the diagnosis, which includes clinical presentations and diagnostic testings. Next, we are going to get familiar with treatment options. Pinworm belongs to the nematodes, which is roundworms, and together with the giant worm, the hookworm, and the Strongyloides, they were known as the GI. They are the GI nematodes, and you can get an idea which ones are the soil transmitted helminths, and which are the geohelminths. Pinworm enjoyed a worldwide distribution. Basically, anywhere there's population, there is this pinworm. This is a picture, and you can get the idea that this is a human feces. And on the surface, you can see a very thin yellow layer. This layer, the scientists discovered that this thin layer is actually the pinworm eggs. They found pinworm eggs on this fossil layer, and so it tells us that the pinworm is this parasite has been living with us human beings for such a long time, and it's an ancient human infection. And all over the world, there's over 200 million people having infection, and all socioeconomic groups can be infected. Usually, children and family clusters are very common to have this infection, and most common where people live under crowded conditions. For example, large families, kindergartens, primary schools, and Enterobius vermicularis causes disease. The parasite disease is caused enterobiasis. This is a disease, and it's a common colon-residing nematode of smaller size. Human is the only host of this parasite. Cosmopolitan distributions, we can see that among 30 to 50% of the population can have the infection. It's common in temperate and tropical climates, and this parasite affecting many children below the age of 12. And anybody can become infected with this parasite. There's no social class exception, and so first, maybe a kid in the family get infection, and later, because this parasite the egg is very light, so it can travel by air, and it can be inhaled from the nose and then get inside the GI tract. So once the kid become infected, and later when the mom is helping the kid to make the bed. And then when the egg is in the bed sheet, and when she dusts the bed sheet, the eggs get into the airflow and can goes into anyone's nose around, and no doubtly other family members will get infected. Now let's look at the life cycle. The life cycle starts from when the eggs get inside the GI tract, and then the egg was swallowed into the GI tract, and then they get inside the small intestine and then the colon, and when they are going down the GI tract, the magic journey, the boys meet girls and they will mate, and then the male pinworm die. The female pinworm need to crawl through the anus to oviposite preanal air skins, and because the eggs are very sticky, they can secrete some glue-like things to make sure they are stitched to the surrounding area on the skin. So, and then because it's very sticky, it's stimulating. So the skin can be very itchy, and people, especially kids, intend to scratch. And when they scratch, the eggs can go under the fingernail, and then if they don't wash their hands often enough, the eggs can be sure, no doubtfully, they get inside the mouth to start the journey again. And this is one way that the egg get inside the GI tract. And also the eggs are very easy and just use a little bit time to mature, and they mature in an hour, and they can stay viable for months. And so contaminated hands, food, drinks, clothing, dust, anything, they can take the easy transport and get inside the mouth. This is what the eggs looks like. As you can see, it's transparent. Looks like transparent sesame, and one side is smooth and straight, and the other side, the back, is a little bit curly. And this is the adult. You can see the male one is smaller, and the tail is curved to the abdomen. And then the female for sure is larger in size because they need to lay eggs. And later, when the body is filled with the eggs, then they can excrete the eggs. And the transmission is called fecal oil transmission. And this is anthroponosis disease shared by many people, and the parasite must exit the body to complete the life cycle. The theory is that the temperature for the eggs to develop to hatch is for the parasite egg to develop it need to be below the body temperature. That's why they need the exit the body to complete the life cycle. And there's no internal reproduction. And the eggs, the female need to leave the body to lay eggs. And the eggs were sticky to the anus area, and the female after laying eggs, they want to crawl back into the anus. However, because there are several openings around the perianal air skin, they might end up in wrong way. That's when they can cause some of the infections and inflammations. Also, when the eggs were viable, and sometimes the eggs develop, and the larvae get out, and they want to crawl inside, and then they can also get into other wrong entrance and causing some of the infections. Morphology, we can see the female and male size and how large they are. And this is the anatomy for the adults. You can see the anus, and there's a vesicle, the opening of the vagina, and the upper one has the reproductive system. And this creamy white colored nematodes are relatively small, with the female measuring only 8 microliters long by 0.5 microliters wide. These females have a cuticular expansion at their anterior ends with a large pointed tail. That's why they have the name of pinworm. This is the anterior end taper and is flanked on each side by cuticular extension called cephalic ali. The esophagus is slender, terminating in a prominent posterior bulb, which is called esophageal bulb. The cephalic ali and esophageal bulb are important in identification of the species. And there's two pictures showing the eggs, how you can see how large they are, and what shape they are, and it's transparent. And the shell is very large. The shell is very thick, and inside usually there is an embryonated egg, and they may contain a larvae. There's a larvae inside. This is another picture showing the pinworm egg. You can see in the middle of the egg there's a larvae, and this picture. You can see the body, and you can observe the eggs expelled by the worm in the field of the long pointing tail. Next, we are going to talk about the life cycle. We can see from here the humans are infected when they ingest eggs containing infected juvenile, and the eggs hatched in the small intestine, and female worms migrate to the large intestine and reach sexual maturity, and then the females crawl out of the anus usually during the early mornings, and deposits eggs on the perianal skin. And then there's retroinfection, and if eggs remain on the perianal skin long enough, they will hatch, and the juvenile will crawl back into the anus and mature into adults. And eggs are deposited on the perianal skin. And eggs become infective within 6 hours. And then hands, bed clothing, bed lines, floors, drapes, kitchen counters, clothing, schoolrooms, desktops, etc. And all these are contaminated with infected eggs. And this is showing the life cycle again. We can start from adults in the intestine, and they copulate, and the males die. And only after males die, the organs will get developed, and the female goes to the anus. Lay eggs outside the anus. And sometimes eggs were directly swollen, and sometimes eggs become airborne, and the eggs were inhaled through the body and then cooked up into the GI tract, and then the eggs were swollen again. So the stage 3 larvae hatched in small intestine, and they will molt twice as moved to large intestine. And then this is the whole life cycle.